And so just a lot of gratitude, you guys, seeing you all here in a really great and strong number. And to be able to grow in something which I think is not only transformative for others, but it's transformative for ourselves. To really come to terms with, in the gifts that we've been given, the places God has put in our lives, the great impact we can have for people, not just momentarily, but long term. And that's the power of the local church to influence the direction of the world. And that's not an exaggeration. What happens in particular locales, when people are focused on a certain thing, it has a multiplying effect. And it's the result of that is going to be the outcome of our wider culture. So if we want the wider part to change, and we all do, because we see the influences that are, everybody's going to be influenced by something in the end. I mean, we're all influenced by something or someone. What's going to hold sway or win the tide? So tonight I want to just kind of do a lead up in terms of what's brought us to this point, and then the great opportunity that all of us have at this moment in history in our parish. It's a unique moment. I believe it's a providential moment, and not just for us here, but in context of the wider archdiocese and the wider church. And just to review for us, it was in the fall of 2015, began to feel that we were needing to have a conversation as a parish. And we launched into a series of discussions called Alive in Christ, started about a year and a half ago. And the objective of Alive in Christ was to talk with you, to listen, learn how Sacred Heart Parish can best use our collective and individual time, talent, resources to carry forward our mission call. So we did. We had dozens of discussions. Who here participated in a Alive in Christ discussion? Raise your hand. So many of you. Very fruitful, because it was an open door. We really experienced wonderful input and synergy when we did our last school strategic plan, our parish school. And then we're just about to launch into that again. It did so much to guide our direction. So the same happened for our parish. A lot of input, a lot of desires expressed, some pain expressed, confusion, great aspirations, gratitude. And that was all kind of taken, and then we saw certain things, certain themes float to the top, certain prevailing themes, which resulted in the vision for our parish. Some people call this vision, mission, but the unifying factor, the unifying point around which we will center our lives. And it's this, it's about a year ago right now on a pastoral council retreat, and really an inspired moment, the sense of like, that all of this that we're doing would lead somewhere, one specific place. So that our vision is that we would be people who are walking with whoever, everybody. Not just in general towards God, but to meet Jesus. To have an encounter with Jesus Christ. And just say at the outset, contextually, everybody, in terms of something that really cool that happened recently. Over the 4th of July weekend, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops organized a convention. And the driver for this, from what I've heard, I was with Archbishop Lucas Sunday evening at a vocations event. He said, there's been this within the church, these, and again, you could call them silly, but they're real squabbles between, like, the bishops say, look, gosh, there's these pro-lifers on the one side, and then we have a lot of these social justice people, and they can't meet, right? They keep doing this, they keep, like it's a zero-sum game, which you have to be all, which is ridiculous, right? We're everything. But it's like, okay, let's have a conference, and let's kind of bring people together and try to build a bridge. Well, in the interim, somebody was brought on to the bishops' conference, and he had a vision for this, and he really didn't quite agree with, like, he's like, if we just have a conference around this, I don't think it's going to get us anywhere. What it ended up being, and I've heard it from people from our diocese who went, our Archbishop, and other people across the country, some articles. Our Bishop Conley from Lincoln wrote an article about his experience. A real watershed moment for the Church of the United States. You can't describe it in any way else. That there is this prevailing sense of the Church in America, and it's like it's the whole point of the Vatican Council, it's the whole point of having a church, which is the one unifying factor is the one thing that's been the only unifying factor, and that is knowing life in Jesus Christ. And you say, well, gosh, don't we know that already? We won't if we don't know the encounter. And I saw an interview with Archbishop Naumann, who's a good friend of Archbishop Lucas. They grew up together. He's a bishop of Kansas City, Kansas. And he said, you know what we call them the NONES, the nuns, the people who don't profess any religion? A lot of them are former Catholics. They're just looking for an encounter. They want to know if you can help them with that. There's thousands of them, thousands and thousands. And there's the fruit of the movement on universities, the Focus movement, Focus missionaries, means that there are after 20 years of doing this, there are a lot of well-formed young adults out there, and a lot of them were at this convention down in Orlando, and some of them were saying just because no offense against bishops, but a lot of them are old, right? Sorry, they just are, right? And when you're old, you kind of lose perspective and just kind of lose touch. And the younger people were like, why don't you just get out of the way and we'll show you how to do this? Right? No, because they're on fire. They're so ready to go. They're ready to kind of leave off a lot of the heavy stuff, the baggage, and they're ready to launch in. And from what I've heard, people came away with that sense. Let's get on with it. So this is what we're talking about here. To me, it's a direct tie-in to what the Holy Spirit was saying to that group. About 3,000 people from across the country. I think our diocese had 22 people who went. That's probably the average size of a delegation from a diocese. So the point of that is saying, what they're saying is, it's the encounter with Jesus. Simply put, no sort of halfway or some sort of alternative, right? Something that can serve as a substitute. That's it. That's what people will be attracted to. That's what they will respond to. Because it's life. It's fun. It's joyful. It gives us everything we're looking for. So to me, this I don't like to call it a statement. It's really a promise. We commit to walk with you, to get to know you, to meet Jesus. And not just to offer a program, but to help you have friendship with Him. It's powerful. It's very powerful to state it as succinctly as that. And if we commit to that, if that's our promise as a parish in all that we do, wow, we're part of this moment in the United States of saying it's time. It's time for this. And everything we're doing, that's specific. Doesn't mean everybody's on a certain time track that it's going to happen at a certain point, because that's where it gets personal. Okay? But it means that we're about this, and it's not something that would ever be set aside. So, since September, the Pastoral Council has been discerning, and it came out of the Life of Christ, pastoral priorities for our parish. In our Pastoral Council retreat, which is going to be really what we're seeing is, this is our leadership responsibility, is to help keep us in the forefront of the parish and to move certain things along at a certain pace. And I'm just going to, our evening time's really on a culture of leadership, so I'm not going to go through all these things, okay? I talked about this, losing track of my time, a couple months ago, was it? We rolled it out, okay, beginning of April, was it? But quickly, to to entering, we've already done this. Had 170 people started Discovering Christ. Who did Discovering Christ either last fall or last spring? Okay, raise your hands. Okay. And know the rest of you, it's a key part of our leadership responsibility. Discovering Christ is a shallow end of the pool. It's the place where we will invite people. In the end, evangelization is a multi-syllabic word. It's kind of a scary word if we don't boil it down to something concrete. Okay. So if it's concrete in this way, hey, so-and-so, hey Joe, there's this thing at my parish once I get to know Joe. Maybe you'd like to come. Starts at September 14th. It's a dinner. You get free food. Worst thing that can happen is you get free food. Right? It's pretty good. We're going to hear a talk, and we're going to talk about the talk. And if you'd like to join us the next week, we'd love to have you. If it's not for you, there's no obligation. That's what Discovering Christ is about. And the heart of the evening is about the discussions, people opening up. Very fruitful, because there's a moment in there where people start to hear the gospel. There's a chance for them to respond in a personal way. Just touch on these. A vibrant weekend experience. That 90% of the people who are involved in the parish spiritually, their one main encounter is when they go to Sunday Mass. So what does that look and feel like? God is present. If I celebrate a Mass on this table, He's just as present. But the way we celebrate and approach this is it says a lot. It has a life-giving effect. So to make that consistent across the board as much as we can. Music, the message that is given, and the ministry, the way people are received and attended to, how we care for each other in that time. And all of us know how that feels when it's really moving. Creating a roadmap. And this is kind of what I was talking about earlier, that we're not here just to do things in general. So if the people are in this room, the number of people are representative of activities that are going on in the parish. And this would probably be a small sampling if that was the case, right? We have tons of things going on in the parish. But if the gist of our parish is, if our parish is simply the boundary of the walls of this room and a bunch of things going on, right? It doesn't necessarily lead to people's spiritual growth, right? They may just participate in one thing, but never really make a decision to follow Jesus. We kind of assume that happens. And that assumption leads to some very clear statistics that say it doesn't happen, right? So this is kind of an overall sort of a strategic planning, visionary roadmap, but this roadmap is going to be when somebody registers for school, when they come down to our office and they want to sign up for something, when they move into town, how we welcome them and receive them in, but then what's next for them? Right? Then we can extend them the invitation to Discovering Christ. And out of that, there's not an endless number of steps, but that they know that there's a next step on the roadmap, right? Because this will all cycle around where they can invite somebody else, and that's how you get a growing church. We want to be able to identify those basic steps. Doesn't mean we stop doing other things. It means we're holding up sort of like this main pathway to maturity as men as Christian men and women. Talk about Mass times. My home parish, Mary Our Queen, and this came out of one of their strategic plans. This fall, they're moving from 7 Masses to 5. They don't need 7 Masses. That's kind of a holdover from the 1960s, and they were a booming West Omaha parish. And they don't need 5 Masses. They have to bring in substitute priests to fill those. And I was kind of impressed with that. I didn't think, I don't follow my home parish that closely, but it's like, wow, you're making some visionary decisions there. But not just about the number of Masses that a priest says. And our schedule right now is not burdensome, but it's how we celebrate and the energy and time we put into our celebrations. The more you do, the less you can attend to the details that make it really life-giving. Okay, which flows into the next one, which is one people. We have made amazing strides in growing as one people. Particularly in our different language-speaking communities. Our festivals for the past 5-6 years have been wonderful moments of people coming together and crossing those lines of culture and the difficulties of language. Karen Indra's been a big help with me. Last Sunday I tried to preach in Spanish, and they all forgive me, but I got all the emphasis on the wrong syllables, right? And I think they know I'm giving it a try, but it's like, man, I need to learn Spanish. That's all there is to it. But there's an eagerness there. We had a meeting with the Pastoral Council and the Hispanic Leadership Council a couple weeks ago. You guys, there's a readiness. There's a readiness to, hey, let's move towards being one people. We don't know exactly what that looks like right now. This is going to be our major initiatives. We're going to talk about what's God calling us to. Where are we going to be in 5 years? Are we going to be doing exactly what we're doing in 5 years? We're having a separate mass and being apart. What do we want for our children? What do we want them 5, 10 years from now? That's how we lead as adults, okay? Which could, right? There's no plans for this right now, but could have an outcome in terms of how we worship on the weekends, right? So this is things we're going to be focusing on towards that end. Our parish school is time-wise, resource-wise, major part of what we do. It's a huge opportunity that we have. It's a great gift. But it's, in everything we do, it's like we have this, with people who are already coming to us. The more we can see our school, and particularly, we know the statistics here, but across the country, who've never really been helped or mentored onto the Christian life. It's not their fault. They just need some help, right? Well, man, what if we're intentional about people who are already coming here, getting them to something like this, right? I mean, just having conversations along those lines, right? They're already satisfied with something very good our parish is offering, okay? And getting them on the roadmap to spiritual growth so that they can lead their families better. It's not about, if we're here, it's not about necessarily going over here. It's about a little course alteration, right? Just a little bit to get them on something like this. Hospitality at every point, every contact point, every entry point in our parish, not just at the parish office, but to receive everyone as you receive Christ. That's one of the mottos of the Benedictines. It's a hallmark, is we receive somebody as if Jesus Christ himself is coming to our door. We all know what that does to us when we're received in that way. So not just at Mass, but teaching our young people how to be hospitable, at every point, exuding our readiness to receive people as we receive Jesus. Because without that, and particularly when we celebrate Mass, but that might be the easy one to solve. The harder parts might be the other places where we just assume that people already feel welcome. Kind of a dangerous assumption. But that's really a team effort there, right? And it's paying attention to the details. It's a big one, plan for abundance. We're doing an audit, if you will, of our advancement efforts for our parish school, which is going to give us some really clear action plans about how we can tap into our potential to grow. But in our school strategic planning this fall, we were even told this initially by the people consulting us. The way you all do deficit spending really puts you in peril. I mean, you will always pay for things because you have to, right? Because you're going to be here. But it will limit you from the further growth which can take place, right? So basically them saying, you can do this. Right? It might involve some hard decisions, might not happen right away. You can move towards a place where you have a healthy growth in income so that you can expand to achieve your goals, right? But really important, more than anything, it's the mentality of an abundance that comes from a life in Jesus. Just as an aside, you guys, like a friend of mine, priest friend, sent me this link, and I've seen this article before about the Diocese of Wichita. The Diocese of Wichita has free schools. Well, no, they don't. Okay, Diocese of Wichita has a stewardship culture, which they pass along, and they'll tell anybody how they do it, but it's almost never replicated, because what it involves is not only a change of heart for one person, it involves a change of heart for a parish leadership culture. We've taken groups, they have a conference on this twice a year down in Wichita. I think they still have it, but we've had 3 groups of people go down there. But to me, I'm learning this more as a leader, that there's nothing magic about going to a conference. It's great, and you come excited, at least I went the first time, right? We're like, oh my gosh, it's all going to change. It's all going to, well, she and I can't, come back by ourselves and do, it really is about doing this. So any kind of culture you hope to embrace, it's going to be about coming together as leaders across the board and embracing something we feel called to embrace together. So tonight what we're doing is the beginning of doing this 3 or 4 times a year, right? And growing in a leadership culture together, right? But there's, their thing is, look, everything's a gift. You don't own anything. You've been given everything out of God's pure goodness. Give it back to Him. Right? But first you have to receive it as a gift. If it's mine, then there's going to be kind of a death grip, right? I'll give you if you need it. Right? So the difference between giving because I have a need to give versus giving to a need. And there is a big difference. And this one is impactful on people when they see the fruit of, wow, I mean, off the top, before taxes, you give 10% of your income away? Yeah. How could you ever do that? How could you? Well, I didn't start there. Started at 2, right? And God blessed me, and He was calling me to more, right? That sort of thing. Personal witness to that. People's hearts are changed by it. And ministries of mercy, this is big for us. That you think of the resources that are within the scope of our parish. You talk about the difference between self-serve versus full-serve. The impact that we can have as we radiate the power of Christ in this community. And not only helping people to come to know Him, but having even greater impact on the poor and those who don't have as many of those blessings that many of us enjoy. Right? So look at our current, and this is, we all hear the Pope, and what he's saying is, part of that getting outside of your walls is not only to proclaim the gospel, but to do it by really laying down your lives for people, sacrificing yourself. Put myself at the top of the list, could do far more of this. But then we have more of that sense of our main mission field is right where we've been placed. You don't have to go to Calcutta. You can. Mother Teresa would always say, go home. Go home, because you have the poor in your own community. Don't stay here. We'll take care of here. You go home. So really comprehensive. Not going to all happen at once, but it gives us a focus all around walking with people to meet Jesus. So to create a culture of encountering Jesus and equipping disciples, this goes along with the Archdiocesan vision. Creating a culture of unity, one church. Create a culture that enables God's mercy to be received and lived. So beautiful, beautiful alignment with what we, the people of the Archdiocese, helped the Archbishop to form. It wasn't him who came up with a plan. He listened across the Archdiocese. And we did the same thing at the same time. Nobody else in the Archdiocese, I mean, again, this happened to align, but I think there's some providence in this, okay? So this is for all of us, and the Pastoral Council is going to be leading us in basically moving all of us to lead to make these things a reality. Because it only happens if we're all doing this, right? It's not just groups, it's not segments, it's all of us embracing the whole thing, right? And the power that has. Encountering Jesus as the essence of it. So, as part of this, in God's providence, last summer in June, there was a conference held at St. Benedict Parish in Halifax, up in Nova Scotia. And it was a book written by a priest named Father James Mallon. And Father Mallon is a priest of that diocese, been ordained about 20 years. He had a big conversion along with a friend of his named Ron Huntley. I think it was a Curcio, wasn't it? Okay. Back when they were probably, I don't know. Young. Teenagers. Yeah. And so the bishop of that diocese, there were 3 neighboring parishes, and now we think we struggle with vocations. Halifax is like ground zero. They have no place. It's like, it's imploding, seriously. They closed 3 parishes and they built a new one. So St. Benedict is that new parish. There was a pastor who built that church, but then the bishop saw Father Mallon doing some things and he said, this is where we need to go. And the key to what he was doing in parishes was based off of something called Alpha. Alpha, if you've been on Discovering Christ, Alpha is another way to do Discovering Christ. Same thing, basically. So he said, Father Mallon, I want you to run this new parish. And Mallon came on and said, all right, I'd love the chance to do this, right? I'm going to try some things, so I need to know that you back me, because you're going to get phone calls and letters. And he did, right? From that merger of those three parishes, he probably had a 25% exodus. People who said, I'm not down for this, I don't know what you're doing, I'm out of here, right? But it was, basically, we want the parish, he says, I love the movements. We have lots of movements. When I say the movements, I mean Curcio, Jóvenes para Cristo is a movement within the Hispanic community, very powerful means of evangelization and formation. Christians encounter Christ, all beautiful. And then we need them, okay? He says, but there are so many people who come through our doors or who we can access on a more basic level. So instead of them having to go somewhere else to have this encounter, why can't the parish be the place of encounter? So Father Mallon just left that parish after 10 years. He's going to be doing, what he found in essence was this, is he didn't know how to lead in all of this. We weren't given, he and I are brothers in this, as are most of our brothers. Leadership training to lead a parish in this way. So their parish is on the move. They have a game plan, roadmap for spiritual growth, encountering spiritual growth. But they say, like, we want to share this. We can't answer all the phone calls we get from other parishes who say, what are you doing? So we're gonna mentor pastors and parish teams so that this can spread. And then they can mentor and walk with other parish teams, pastors and parish teams. So we start to have a transformation in the church. They developed a network. It's called the Divine Renovation Network. And we do this through video conferencing. Father Jeff Lorig, they had a conference last summer in June, as I said. 600 people at the conference at their parish. 160 priests were there. And that's why they announced this network. And we were given the blessing of being able to, participate. Hello. Testing. Come on, okay. Participate in this, not working, Mike? Participate in this network. And the gist of it is the way Father Mallon learned to lead was using a senior leadership team, and we call it SLT. SLT is there to basically help to be an immediate decision-making team and support for the pastor on a weekly basis, so that he doesn't have to make all the decisions. Not that I would ever claim that I do, right? I don't. But this is the best practice in industry. A lot of these things that are being imparted are just something businesses have done for a long time, and they do it because it works, right? So why can't the church use the same best practices? Right? Because they work. So leadership coaching for myself, leadership coaching for our senior leadership team, and that this past year it's been Jeff Beller and Bill LaFleur, and Patsy and Lisa and Cheryl. It's going to change a little bit. Opportunities opening up with Dr. Ritter coming on board. So to have a parish school senior leadership team, and then a continuing parish leadership team, so we can expand the effectiveness of this. We've been having cohorts with other parishes, supporting each other and challenging each other and moving in this direction. And cohorts of priests that have met with Father Mallon. But very, very helpful for us. Very helpful for you guys. Huge. Archbishop is kind of reconfiguring his offices and forming a senior leadership team of his own. He's got a big cabinet, but he's going to have two priests and a deacon who are part of his senior leadership team. And they can go support the other teams, right? Because there's a lot of people involved with all that. But to flesh out these things, if we're going to do this, we have to keep track of this, the Archbishop is saying. So my team needs to be moving in this direction. It doesn't do us any good to print brochures if we're not actually moving in this direction. So just this fall, as part of, gotta stop thumping things. The diocese is we usually have a clergy conference in the fall, and as part of advancing the vision and helping us move forward together in this, Father Mallon's going to be here. We're hosting a diocesan conference, basically, our parishes, which is really cool. So the priests of the diocese, Monday, October 2nd. I'd love to invite you all, but it's, I can't say that, but if you sneak in with an orange vest, just come on in. Bring some cookies or something like that. But pastors with whoever on their team they'd like to come, their parish teams, it'd be a day-long conference convention, breakout times for the pastors and their teams. And then Monday night, the priests are going to stay, have a time of fellowship, and then we're going to have a time with Father Malin Tuesday, October 3rd. Right? So that'll be a big thing happening in our parish right in the heart of the fall. Great opportunity for us to talk to our own people about, look, we're part of this wider thing. We were one of 12 parishes that were in this network originally. We're going to cycle out of it in September. The parish has been cycling in. Right? You guys, there's a great hunger for this. There's another movement called the Amazing Parish Movement. It's doing the same thing. They overlap in a lot of ways. It's moving the parish towards a means of front lines engagement in helping people encounter Jesus. It's a direct route. That's what this is about. So he says, to not be married to our methods, be married to the mission. The methods are adjustable. John Paul II says, new evangelization, as the gospel doesn't change, our methods need to change. And they can change. So let's do that so that what works in this day and age, people can know the eternal truth of the gospel and the ever-relevant truth of the gospel. St. Gerald's Parish in Omaha, I believe they were going to sign on. I don't know if they ended up doing it, but they were looking to do this as well. But, really, really big. Okay, so all about what your culture is. And culture in the end is what we celebrate, what we tolerate. So what do you hold up? What do you celebrate? And what do you put up with? Right? Things that are sort of like, well, it's not the best, but well, that's your culture. Okay. So there's what we say we do, right? And which is about 10%. So you can have goals and plans, all these great sounding things. Okay. Structures and programs. I don't know what that is. What's that one right there? That's just sort of whatever. Fill in the blank. Right? Potluck. I'm just kidding. But then underneath it all, underneath the water, we think this is just the iceberg, right? There's all of it. No, it goes way deep. Okay. So there's our beliefs and values. For example, like what is our idea about who does ministry in a parish? Well, our parish knows that it's everybody, It's not just Father. But there can be this sense of like, when it comes down to it, the priest, you gotta have it in some sense. But like, he's the one who can pray and this and that. It's like, no. We need to mobilize everybody to minister to reach the edges of Norfolk, right? Thousands of people. So what are our beliefs and values around a lot of things? Attitudes, feelings, anger, despair, okay? Father Malin will tell you this. He says, there are people who hate what we're doing. They're angry about it still. You guys, there are people, and we know it, and I don't say this with any sort of like happiness or anything along those lines. There are people who do not like me or the way I lead or what direction we're going. They don't like the direction our parish is taking, right? They've left. Maybe they'll come back someday. And that causes me pain. I think about that. I think, man, I don't want to be mean to anybody ever having to go somewhere else. And sometimes it's the result of going in a direction. We kind of know that, but it weighs heavy on my heart. But I guess there's some sort of correlation when you see like, well, okay, this pastor went in a bold direction, and the same thing happened here. So it's like some of that happens, but we got to acknowledge that it does. Because it's there, and it can weigh on us. Because we know people who are like, they're awesome people, but they don't like where we're going, right? It's a reality. And then what we spend our time and money on, right? So the way we really get things done, right? So the phrase goes, culture eats strategy for lunch. You can have really the gist of why we're here tonight, which is, unless we continue to, band together and move in a mutually desired direction as a way of life, well, the underwriting culture will it'll continue to anchor us in a way that we maybe don't feel called to go at this, And the church is saying we're called to go in this way, but there are a lot of like the younger people saying about the bishops, which is sort of like, I don't know if you get it, right? I think you're kind of slow to get it. With no disrespect intended, it's just, one of those realities, okay? So just acknowledging the scope of culture, right? That it can be developed, and I think this is the thing, it's not a scorched earth thing, which is sort of like, everything you're doing is wrong, and we're going to do a better thing. I know, honestly, I can come across that way sometimes. I want to apologize for that. I've got it's one of my strengths, but it's also weaknesses of seeing what can be. Well, I can quickly move aside things that are good and just need to be, maybe they have opportunity to be developed, right? That's something I need to not do, right? I need to be careful about how I attend to that in a much more loving way, right? So if I've done that, I apologize for that. I got to use my actions where my words are, though. But what is good can become greater, and good can be really the moral enemy of the great, because we can be content with the good too, right? So changes in culture. The church has said it's the culture of evangelization that is what God is calling us to. 52 years on after the Vatican Council, let's let it loose. Let it loose. This is what we do. We want people to know Jesus and be given an opportunity to follow him. It will happen because of our leadership culture as a bedrock. All of us in this room, every single one of us. Versus, well, this is what Father wants, right? And if that's a just label or unjust, whatever it is, it's sort of like, if I would claim that, well, none of this is going to happen. It would only be because we've all embraced this sense of, we are going to allow ourselves to be influenced in learning leadership in this way so that we can extend influence to others. Because we have tremendous power to influence others. Malin says if you want to establish a change in your parish culture, then you must commit to a culture of leadership. And that's what tonight is all about. A culture of leadership across the board. So there are no segments. Everything is everybody all the time involved in everything. Not each activity, but an understanding of, I'm not just part of this one part. I don't just sign up for this. I may do that initially, but then we want people to move into the whole. This is my family. Because I'm part of the whole church, which starts local. Okay. So, I'm going to be talking about this weekend after next. We did the Disciple Makers Index, which was an opportunity that came along. The diocese wanted to do this. We didn't have to pay for it. Hooray. But basically, it comes down to, what do you measure? Right? If you're going to measure success in some ways, okay, you got to have a marker, and you got to be able to see like how you've grown. Otherwise, you can just sit around saying we're successful without ever measuring anything. So the Disciple Makers Index looks at spiritual growth through several themes. Traditional metrics, which is how many people get baptized, weddings, come to Mass. Stewardship, how much are they giving? Ministries, how many people are involved? Attitude and belief questions, right? Relationship and satisfaction questions. How am I connected? How am I satisfied with my parish? Demographic questions, right? The survey uses 3 outcome questions to determine the top drivers of spiritual growth and parish engagement. So the key outcome questions are, this is a biggie, I would recommend my parish or church to a friend. That's where the rubber hits the road, right? How many people have evangelized me about the burger at Bob's Bar, right? They've evangelized me. There's good news at Bob's Bar. It's a cheeseburger. It's really big and it's cheap, right? Well, they recommended it to me, and I want to go to Bob's Bar, right? You got to have this cheeseburger. But, how much more I would recommend my parish to a friend, which means something happens here, and you want to be involved in it, right? I love you enough to tell you about it. My parish helps me to grow spiritually. It helps me to grow. I experience my own growth through this parish because they have a culture of personal growth. I shared my personal witness story with another person. My parish helps me to know my story of how Jesus impacted my life and the ability to share it. I had two people today separated by 300 miles within about 30 minutes of each other who sent me a homily by Father Mike Schmitz. Has anybody heard of Father Mike Schmitz? Okay. Our own Stephanie Parks is a focus missionary. Stephanie, great young woman. We have a lot of focus missionaries in our parish. Stephanie's grandfather Bob passed away this past week, Bob Groninger. Stephanie went to Norfolk Public. But we have Kylie Funk is from a parish school. She's a focus missionary. And who else? Luke Miller is a homeschooler. We got all the bases covered, right?
JC Hayes.
And JC Hayes is about to enter, okay? Yeah. So I share my personal witness story with another person. Stephanie works with Father Mike Schmitz at the University of Minnesota Duluth. Anyway, he podcasts all of his homilies. Usually he takes a summer hiatus because the campus chapel is closed, right? But he gave a homily somewhere this past weekend. And so two people independent of each other, don't know each other, sent this to me with that. She thought, like, you got to hear this, right? I just read the little tagline on his podcast. And he must have really gone at it because he said, in the end, programs don't make disciples. Only disciples make other disciples. That's it. Only a person who knows through their encounter with Jesus, right, how he's changed their life, that's how disciples are made. And I can't wait to hear this homily, because people love to pass these things along, okay? Because that's the narrative that's out there. And as I say this, even for yourself, again, our entry point for this is dinner and a talk. Wherever you're at in your life, if you would like to hear this again, if you're like, I feel like a beginner right now. Beginner's kind of, it's a label, but whatever. I don't know how to get into this. It still kind of freaks me out. A lot of people feel that way. A lot of people do. They don't want to say anything because they think they're going to be rejected or feel embarrassed or whatever, right? Well, that's why we need to shallow into the pool for them, right? So we talk about witnesses, all this stuff. It's like, oh my gosh, it sounds like Billy Graham. It sounds like, you've got to become a professional at this. No! You just talk about what you know. That's it. Be yourself. That's what this is really about. Getting to know people personally. So anyway, the results of the Disciple Maker Index, I'm going to do a presentation a week from Sunday on our parish. But there's just a couple of these, right? So what it did is it breaks out, it puts on all your results to the magic Disciple Maker Index machine, right? And what it does is it gives you, these are the answers people gave in response to the question. So it's strongly agree, either you agree or disagree. Disagree, strongly agree. Parishioners want to be formed as a disciple, right? So basically, here's the question. The parish helps me grow spiritually by forming me as a disciple of Jesus Christ. People are asking, does your parish do that? The understanding that my parish does that. Here are the top 3 parishes across the country that have taken the DMI. So you can see that those parishes have a culture where our parishes do this and they know it. This is ours, okay? We have 18% of people who strongly would agree with that. This parish helps me to grow spiritually by forming me as a disciple of Jesus Christ. Here's our diocesan average, which is 22%. All parishes that took this in the diocese, so 14 parishes, including us, 25%. And then the average of large parishes, which is over a certain number threshold, and rural parishes. But, well, here's a strong point, but look at this large number right here, guys, who wouldn't say that the parish helps me grow spiritually by forming me as a disciple of Jesus Christ. Now, you could say, well, gosh, close the shop, we're done. No, amazing opportunity. Amazing opportunity. I see that's a marker. We're here. Just put the dot on the map. You are here. Now, we can get moving, because in 2 years if we take this, man, what if this went to 27%? Huh, right? People start to say, something happens in this parish, it really helps me. I didn't know what a disciple was, but now I've learned come to know that. And I've made some decisions in my life, right? Things like that. So this is just a marker. But it's important to know it, but, and this is, honestly, the people who took this are people who come to Mass every weekend. So these people are kind of down for the cause. They show up every weekend, but the vast majority would say, I don't know, maybe we just do a lousy job at telling people, because we do some things that help people, but they wouldn't say over an overriding way that this is what we do, or that they can have this here. Right? Is that the only slide?
You have one more.
Okay, does this come first though?
Only if you want to talk about going through.
So just briefly, guys, this is it's like, you ever seen the movie Terminator? And one of those movies where there's like the modern machines and there's like the original machines, right? They're like archaic robots. This is like the original machines of our parish roadmap. It's going to look a lot better eventually. Right? This is like the first version. What we're doing is just for ourselves. So this would be, our rhythm, right? We welcome people. I alluded to this earlier. We're pointing them towards a place of a shallow end of encounter, discovering Christ, hoping to spread Christ, right? Similar pathways in for people who just need some help. Okay. From that, people after the experience can help out on the teams. There's teams that go along with these. But then you don't stay on a team forever. You don't do this forever. This produces a culture of invitation. That's the biggest thing. Father Mallon's parish, who has Alpha as a centerpiece of what they do, they'll say that like their staff meetings or gatherings like this, they'll challenge each other, who got the most no's to Alpha? And they'll say, Bob got the most no's, right? Got, 2 people to come and 28 people said no. Well, Bob's an inviter, and that's what they want. They want people inviting people. You get a no, you get a no. Right? But a culture of invitation. Catholics, you guys, if we're honest with us, we're notorious for not quite wearing that on our sleeves. Amen? We don't, right? We just don't. We're kind of timid about this. Invite somebody to dinner. This, right? Oops. And then to the understanding is that this is not privatized. Faith is personal, but we live this together. Fellowship is a part of our life where we can invest in each other. So basically the pillars of a way of life after an encounter and a decision to follow Jesus. Ministry, everybody has something to give, a way to serve. We can always be learning. Once I come to know Jesus, then I want to know more about him. Call that catechesis. Then I want to learn. Right? No more just learning, thinking that at the end somebody's going to know Jesus just by teaching them. It can happen, but it doesn't happen most of the time. And then prayer and worship is where we cultivate our relationship and where we celebrate together to grow in that. It's not always sequential. Okay, this isn't a step 1, step 2, step 3. But there's a flow to it. Okay? Now, if we embrace this as leaders, this understanding that, listen, wherever somebody's at, hey, have you ever done Discover Christ? We've had a lot of people who've been impacted by Christians Encounter Christ. Okay? But there's a lot of people who really aren't ready for that, quite honestly. Okay? But we still need CC because it's the perfect spot for a lot of folks. The more we do this, you guys, then this number changes. These parishes did not start here. Did not start here. They probably started here. But they had to have something in their parish, an understanding of there's a way to grow here. That became the culture of the parish. Not we offer all these things. We still do a lot of things, but primarily we're encouraging and inviting people to have the experience. So, which will lead to this. Here's another question. This is a teaser for the presentation. My parish equips me, and here's the question. My parish equips me to have conversations about my faith with family and friends by teaching me how to share my personal witness story. Lisa Piper's son Ethan and Drew Pieper, we're going to hear from Drew in a second. Last summer went to a leadership experience called LEAD that leads up to a conference which about 40 of our parishioners are going to go to this year, the Steubenville Conference, put on by Franciscan University. We have 4 young people in LEAD this year. LEAD basically is about 20-25 teenagers who apply to go to a place where they can learn how to pray and tell their story. Because they want to know Jesus and follow him and help others to do that. Okay? It's a very, very powerful experience. They're craving it. They're craving a way to do this. But again, even if you look at these top 3 parishes, it's a little steeper curve, isn't it? That the parish is actively helping people. Now, first of all, you have to have a way for people to have encounter with the Lord, right? But then how do we help people to articulate that? Not really complicated in the end, but people sometimes need some help doing that. But you can see for us, it's like that's not really something that we focus on too much. People would say, my parish really doesn't do that. Okay. So again, we don't shut the doors. We look at all the opportunity we have. Right? All this growth, you guys. You talk like, all the life resources, all the love, all the gifts, and everything. You can include finances in this. It's mostly about the personal response. All the latent potential that's built up there to be released. And again, these are the people who already come to Mass. I mean, start there. There's the 6,000 people in our database who don't come to Mass. See the potential? I mean, this is like, you want to see where like the full release of everything is. Well, we are here, dot on the map. You can see across the archdiocese, we don't have a culture of this in our archdiocese either. Goes along with that. If we do some of this, or a lot of this, people start to be able to say, you know what? I didn't know what it was like before, but I feel like I have come to know Jesus personally. It's not as scary as I thought. It's actually kind of good, And I can tell my story to somebody. That is what Father Mike Schmitz was talking about. That's what makes other disciples. That and only that is the witness of one, heartfelt witness of one person. Enough for them to take an interest in me, if I'm that next person. Okay. So here's at the conference, just so you know, these kids on lead, they join in on the conference with these other kids who come. So like we're going to the one in Springfield, Missouri. There are 23 of these conferences across the country, 40,000 teenagers a summer, about 4,000 kids in Springfield at this weekend. Once a day, they get one of these lead kids up on the stage in front of 4,000 of their peers to give a witness. And our own Drew Pieper on Saturday night was chosen to give hers. So this is it.
Hi, my name is Drew Pieper, and I'm from Norfolk, Nebraska.
A lot of Nebraskans there at this time.
And tonight, I'm going to tell you about how God revealed my purpose to me through adoration. So my whole life, I've really struggled with knowing what my purpose is, whether that meant finding friends, my family, school, my faith, or knowing what to do in the future. It got to the point where I didn't know if I was wanted on earth anymore, and how God didn't love me anymore. I had few friends, and my faith was dwindling, and then my best friend's dad died. And I felt purpose in comforting her for a little while, and then I just felt empty again. And I desired God's love, and I desired faith, and I desired to be saved. And I just felt like God wasn't listening to me anymore. And so I went to our priest about it, and he suggested trying adoration. And so I tried it. And I was sitting in the chapel before the consecrated host, and I was reading the Bible verse about how there's a time to be born and a time to die, and that God does everything for a reason. And I happened to look up at the crucifix, and there's a light shining in through the skylight on Jesus' face. And Jesus' eyes slowly opened up at me, and I had to look away quick because I didn't know if it was actually happening. And when I looked back, he was, and he was just peering into my eyes, like looking into my soul. And at that moment, it was like a sparkler went off in my soul, and that this door that was cracked open at one point but slowly closing was just thrown open. And at that moment, I felt God's love, and I knew that God was listening. And I realized that my purpose in life was that I need to spread the word of God, and that God didn't give his only son so I can waste my life away. And he's here for me every moment. So after my encounter with Christ, my faith changed completely. I deepened my relationship with God, and I tried to deepen others' relationship with God as well. Adoration became a daily part of my life. I go for 15 minutes every day, otherwise I try to pray the rosary. And I finally found some friends who love the faith as much as I do. But most importantly, I found that I had a purpose and that God loves me. and that He's always listening to me. And He has a plan for me, but I may not know it, and He's constantly revealing it to me. So tonight, I just invite you guys to let Christ enter your soul and to bring yourself freely in adoration.
So I've listened to that probably 25 times, but guys, that's we talk about in the end as culture is what we celebrate and tolerate, and in a predominant way. Like, that is it. That's it. That is, if you were to ask, if I were to bring Drew in here right now and say, Drew, has Jesus changed your life? And to have a heartbeat, she would say, irrevocably. Right? He's totally changed my life. And a maturity that's beyond her years. She's going to be a senior this year. But what she's desiring more than anything is because there's a certain sort of like reality check, even for these kids who are going this coming weekend, and I'm going to go. And it's a great time. It's a great exuberant experiences, mountaintop experiences, right? You can't stay on the mountain that way. You got to come down and walk the journey, okay? But what they're literally looking for is not so much a continual mountaintop experience. I said, do you keep in touch with your lead friends? She's like, every day. Every day I keep in touch with them, right? But she's more than that, wanting to come home and share that with all of her friends, right? She wants to know that, this is something that we can go there together. So this is our call to action, and she puts a face on it, right, for all of us. It's not just for teenagers. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, like even this weekend, what's so cool about these weekends, it happens on our JC camp too, right? Something opens up, hearts are stirred. Really cool when you see people start to pray. Very, very powerful. It's life changing for me over and over again. You see them start to pray from the heart. So our call to action is, and you could put her or any other faces on it, our 40-some kids who are going down as they come back this coming Sunday, to find us a people who have embraced this idea of a roadmap. I'm going to embrace this as a parishioner of Sacred Heart Parish. This is the vision and the mission of the parish. And to come by, if you haven't, being on experiencing Discovering Christ, it starts December 14th. It's 7 weeks. It's not endless. And I think you'll find it no matter where you are. I always find when I hear the gospel again, it hits me in a brand new way. You can never hear it enough. Right? I'm always humbled in that way. To invest in others in this way, in any conversation, especially people who don't like or see the direction of our parish. What are we doing? Why are you going? Why is Father doing this? Listen, okay, I went to this thing, and we actually took a step back and looked at the big picture. Can I talk to you a bit about what the big picture is for us? Right? And that could help them tremendously. And then maybe a possibility to invite them to come and say, hey, I'm going to do this on September 14th. Would you come with me? I would wager to say that 8 or 9 times out of 10 people will. If you invite them in that way, they will come. All they need is that they're not going to be alone or whatever it is. Okay? So investing in others, using your influence. You may not think you have influence. You have influence. Everybody does. And lastly, being open to growing in this together. And he didn't coin the phrase, but Father Malin uses it, and it's true. You guys know this in your ventures. If you in a big company or a mid-sized company, or you may have a visionary direction, but that iceberg thing kind of that dynamic influences us. But vision leaks out. It leaks out. So if we don't keep this before us, even Father James Malin, like 3 weeks before he exited his parish, he was giving another homily on their roadmap. This is what we do here at St. Benedict Parish, and this is why. He keeps it in front of them all the time, because he knows eventually they'll be like, hey, we're really succeeding in this. Hey, do we really need to do that much? They start to slip away. Okay. To come together, not just to go over this necessarily again. Certain aspects I think we always have to keep in front of us. But then different aspects of leadership we can grow in together. You guys, and you become kind of a junkie on this stuff, but in a good way. Modern media, I mean, the resources that you can tap into, or any part of the world, there is some fabulous stuff that's being put out. And who's knocking it out of the park by it. Like Catholics are kind of late waking up to this. The evangelicals are doing so well at leadership culture, right? And they know it's, even in the best of circumstances, it's hard. This is hard work. Bill Hybels is one. What's the name of his book?
Global Leadership Summit.
No, the book. It's The Courageous, whatever. Hybels is excellent. But he has this network of churches, the Willow Creek Association. They have a Global Leadership Summit, which is all leadership summit. There's a main one. You get like 30,000 people to come to this thing. Seriously. Then they have satellite versions at churches all across the country. People come and do this. They do this. They're growing in their leadership and their ability to influence. And they find it fun and life-giving. It's fun. It's fun to be united on mission together. It's fun to be a key part of a team. Everybody's a key part. But to know how I can play a greater part, and then where we're going. So that, when Drew comes home, or when somebody comes off a Christians Encounter Christ, or when a kid comes back from JC camp, or whatever, like, we just pick them up where they left off, right? And when they want to talk about their encounter on that weekend, they know that everybody, encounter is kind of a deal around here. It's kind of what we do, it's not weird, it's not just normal. That'll happen the more we do this together. So, I mean, this is such an amazing start. This is so great. I can't tell you how great this is. And for me, I mean, that's like, you guys, what I see is like one of the key impacts that I can have in a parish. It's like, I can be present, be around, and do a lot of things, and still will. I mean, presence is really important. But to really grow the movement, one thing I have to be able to do is lead a team that can spread this out, and then lead us together in holding this up as, this is a great import. And that's why I'll end where I started, which is, there's a moment here, and I'm not being dramatic. It's like this moment, this Pope, our bishop, right? It's like the timing is not 10 years from now. It's now. And our young people are craving this. They're looking for adults to show them the way. Show me the way. And we can grow in that together and build each other up in that. Right? So before we move to part 2, just any thoughts about any of this? Again, the point of the night was this. It is being together to see the roadmap, and then to see how I can, I'm open to be influenced and then influence others. I guess that's my summary right there. So any thoughts or questions or insights? I guess that's reflect, you want to?
You just talked a lot about our young people, but really it's about spreading the sense of being on that roadmap to our adults.
Yeah, and this is yeah, thank you. This is a big shift, you guys, is there's a certain gravity and a rootedness that a church has when there is a culture of adult evangelization. And it's one of the, I don't know if we have that slide, the slides we're going to show. One of the key metrics for any church is adult converts, right? So adult baptisms, people in RCIA numbers, and it's not because of the lack of efforts on the part of people who run teams and stuff like that, but it's the lack of evangelization. But in the past 20 years have been plummeting. We're about, straight up, we're losing when it comes to adult converts. We don't have to be, that's the thing. But kids, when they learn about this, they see the way we live, right? So they'll be looking to, well, what's the ultimate fruit of this? Where does this go? Like, what do my parents do? What do the 45-year effect of a stewardship culture, discipleship culture in Wichita, Kansas. This is 45, 50 years, okay? It's not 2. It's been this year and next year, 20 new priests. 20. Now that's kind of abnormal even for them, right? They're not going to keep 10 a year, right? But that seed was planted that long ago, And the Holy Spirit puts certain things in motion in place to let that diffuse across the diocese. Vocation director, if he is asked in Wichita, why do you guys get so many priests? And he'll say, because our young men see their parents pray and tithe. That's why. And so, you can always raise money, but for somebody to give their life, right? You don't give your life just on, you give your life because you see this is the real deal, right? And I will give my life willingly because I see how people are fed and get more life. So yeah, sign me up. I'm in, right? So yeah, that's the main part of all of this is young people. That's why they're leaving so quickly. Is because they're like, my parents, straight up, my parents went to mass. I never saw that it gave them any joy. I mean, for them it just seemed like kind of something they had to do, and I could do other things with my time. And if you see that, who wouldn't make that conclusion? It's like, I'm not going to do something where I don't see that it goes somewhere. There's too many fun things you could go do. But this is, I think, the most funnest. Thank you for that. So we'll like to do this, like 3 times a year, 3 or 4 times a year. If we could, make this part of our cycle, and then maybe you can't make the next one. Maybe you can, right? But I think you'll find just a really something very life-giving for us. And mark my words, this is, if you pay attention to this in Catholic circles, and you're going to see that this is the narrative that's forming for Catholics, right? Very quickly, right now, it's all happening. So I'm just very grateful to be part of it. This team of leaders, and your readiness for this. So.
We'll put a couple resource links up on the website.
Yeah, and we should have a couple links where you can go to, which is sort of like, maybe podcasts we think could be relevant, or we could go and say, this is our page to kind of tap into some of these things, because you may not know where to search for everything and all that stuff, but we can point you in a direction too, and if you are eager to, man, you can go all sorts of different places to find out all the good things that are going on. A lot of great things. So, let's take a break here. Stay for the next part. Let's take a 5-minute break, and then